Hey guys, what's going on? It's your boy Vice Nodge, and today we're going to be fixing Total Drama Action. Now, I'm not saying Total Drama Action is a bad season, I'm just saying there are certain aspects of it that could use fixing. And I think one of the biggest problems is the roster, and I am going to help with that by adding 2 new contestants. You've seen the thumbnail and title, you know who they are. I am adding Noah and Tyler. Now you're probably wondering, why Noah and Tyler specifically? Why not some of the other characters that were dropped for this season? Why no Cody, Ezekiel, Eva, Katie or Sadie? Well, I just don't really think they have a part to play. They could be early boots to maybe pad the season out a bit more, have a few less non-elimination episodes, but I don't think they're needed for this season. And especially for Cody, he gets a good enough run out in World Tour that I don't feel like it's a massive loss not having him in action. Alright, so we're going to put Noah and Tyler both on the grips because I have a really interesting dynamic idea that I think would make that team much more interesting, because I think on the whole, the grips were the more boring team of the two, because really think about it, what was actually going on the grips team for most of the pre-merge? Up until Courtney joined, nothing. So, we're going to keep Bridget around. We're just going to boot Jeff in the first episode, and we're going to put Bridget on the gaffers to fill out the numbers. But she'll still go home before the 6th episode because I want them both to host the Aftermath. Okay, so let's talk through the plan to get from here to the first Aftermath. I think that might be a good way of building this season. We're going to go from Aftermath to Aftermath. So, in episode 2, Jeff goes. Episode 3, Izzy goes. Episode 4, Bridget goes. And in episode 5, Trent goes. I think that's good enough to get everyone that needs to be out early. And I'm also just going to have Trent not get obsessed with the number 9. I'm thinking Gwen just gets frustrated with him throwing challenges, and that's enough of a reason to break up with him and tell the team. We don't need the number 9 stuff, and that leaves the door open for Trent to not be completely ruined for a possible future appearance. Maybe as an early boot in World Tour, who knows. I just think the way Trent was handled completely killed any chance of him coming back. So I would like to leave the door open for him by doing that. Now, the Trent drama is the main reason I've not really brought up Noah and Tyler yet, because that takes up a lot of the first few episodes. But now that Trent's gone, this will be the new main plotline on the grips. Just introducing Lindsay and Beth will really bug Tyler, because obviously Lindsay is Tyler's girlfriend. So that's going to turn Tyler against Justin. Noah will be smart enough to know that Justin is a massive threat by doing this and want to get rid of him as well. And obviously Owen and Noah are best friends. But also Owen likes Justin, so that would be an interesting dynamic, him flip-flopping between the two. And overall, I think that would just create a really interesting rivalry dynamic on the Grips team that there just isn't anything going on for after Trent leaves and before Courtney comes. Okay, so let's go from the 7th episode to the next Aftermath. Episode 7, Gwen leaves, that's fine. She had a good enough run in Ireland and has a good run in World Tour, so I'm cool with her leaving here. She hasn't really got much of a part to play in this storyline anyway. Izzy coming back I'm also fine with. I mean, I don't like it normally, but I think I need an extra body to eliminate at some point, so this will be fine. Episode 8 being a non-elim I am cool with. It'll just give us more time to explore the dynamics on the Grips now, because Izzy being back will obviously give Noah and Owen a boost because they're a little trio, that'll help them. Episode 9 is when DJ quits. I'm fine with DJ quitting, I'm happy for DJ to quit, and I want the Grips to lose that challenge, and ultimately, I think the person that would have been voted out would probably be Tyler. But he's saved now, which is good because I love Tyler. But I think Justin would get Lindsay and Beth to vote him, and I don't think Lindsay is on Tyler's side at this point. I think it takes Tyler a little bit longer to win over Lindsay because Justin is still attractive at this point in the season. I don't think his looks have quite started to fade yet. I think we have a bit more time before that storyline starts. So, Lindsay betraying Tyler here would be an interesting dynamic, and I also think Justin could seduce Owen into voting off Tyler. I don't think he could convince Owen to vote off Noah because they're close friends. But I don't think Tyler really has any strong links to anyone on this team other than Lindsay. And even then, she's willing to betray him at this point. So I think they would have voted off Tyler. But DJ quits, saving Tyler. Episode 10. I don't really have anything to do in this episode because it's another non-elimination. And it's another non-elimination that I'm fairly okay with being a non-elimination because I want time to let some of these storylines settle. Like, I want an episode or 2 for like Noah to reach out to bring Tyler into their little alliance, and I want time for Tyler to get over the betrayal and maybe try and talk to Lindsay, have scenes of development between characters. I think that would be good. And then I think also around this point is when the Justin's looks starting to fade thing happens. So I think it will start being easier for Tyler to start winning Lindsay back over. Episode 11, I'm happy for Izzy to go again. She's just a filler character, but I'm not quite sure how I would eliminate her realistically, because she would be in a decent spot now with the alliances she would be in. So I'm thinking that maybe Justin's pulling power clutches it one more time for her to go. So I'm going to say Justin just about manages to keep Lindsay and Beth on side long enough. But at this point in time, Lindsay is starting to realise that Tyler is Tyler, because that happens in World Tour, but I'm thinking about just bringing it forward to here because I think it went on for too long. So I'm thinking Tyler would vote with Lindsay now because she's told him, hey, I remember you, we can be a couple again and whatever. But I still like Justin and we're voting for Izzy. Do you mind voting Izzy? And I think Tyler is probably nice enough as to where he would vote for Izzy with them. So 4 votes for Izzy. Izzy is out. Mainly because I don't really have any purpose for Izzy going forward and I didn't want to have loads of non-eliminations here. Alright, episode 13. So the one where Courtney joins and Owen usually gets eliminated. I'm going to put Courtney on the gaffers because the gaffers don't really have that many people left compared to the grips now. So I'm going to put Courtney on the gaffers and I'm going to say the gaffers lose this challenge. And I'm thinking they're going to probably boot LaShawna just because she really doesn't have a lot going on. And I don't like the arc of her being caught trash talking on the PDA. So maybe that happens in this episode, like Courtney comes back and reveals it, or I don't know, it's just I don't really like anything they do with LaShawna past this point in this season. So I'd quite like to get rid of her now, just because I don't particularly enjoy the direction that they take with her. So I'm going to say they lose. Heather gets Duncan and Courtney to agree to boot LaShawna to spite Harold because Courtney was unfairly kicked out by Harold last time, so they want to upset him by doing that. So that could be a decent motive for them to boot LaShawna here, which I quite like because I think that feels... Because obviously Harold booted Courtney to spite Duncan, so they would boot LaShawna to spite Harold. I think that works as like a nice bit of reversal onto Harold for what he did last season, because that would bum him out. And also it would leave him pretty empty-handed on the team, which I think would be interesting. Alright, so we've hit episode 14, and now what I'm thinking happens is Lindsay is fully back on Tyler's side. She's completely over the Justin curse. Beth still likes Justin, but that's also just because Beth doesn't have a boyfriend on the show. She has Brady, but like he's not there to win her back, so she's kind of still on Justin's side to an extent. Lindsay and Tyler are properly together, and then Noah and Owen are their own little thing at this point. But obviously, because Beth and Lindsay are best friends, whatever Justin wants Beth to do, she could probably get Lindsay to do, which she could get Tyler to do. So now I'm thinking this is where we end up cutting Noah. Because once we merge, I don't really think there's a lot for Noah to do in this season. And also, I think Noah being here for this long has achieved enough at this point. Because if they're trying to paint Justin as this big antagonist for this season, he hasn't really done too much, and I think booting Noah would be a significant achievement for him as a villain. So I do think Justin eliminating Noah here would make sense. Alright, episode 15, I am still booting Heather here. I know there are probably other suspects on that team that you would expect could be voted for, but I think Duncan and Courtney being on the same team, they wouldn't have the rivalry that they have during this point of the season because they're on opposite teams. So I think they're in a fairly good place as a couple at this point, so they're banding together and they go up to Harold and say, Harold, we're going to vote Heather. If you don't vote with us, we're going to vote for you instead. Because they know how much of a threat Heather is post-merge, because she always seems to get a lot of plot armor post-merge. And Duncan and Courtney are both smart players, so they're smart enough to know this. So they say that to Harold, which is enough to win him over. Alright, so we're at episode 16, which is Merge Day. Let's just have a little recap of who's still here in case anyone has lost track of where we are. Coming to the merge from the gaffers is Courtney, Duncan and Harold. Coming into the merge from the grips is Justin, Lindsay, Beth, Owen and Tyler. Episode 16 will be a non-elimination because I want 2 full episodes of the merged cast as one big group. Episode 17, Courtney and Duncan will see Harold is by himself and they'll make a move to get him on side. They'll say, hey Harold, there's a 4-person alliance, join us, because we're all going to lose unless we work together, so look at the numbers disadvantage we're at. Harold will see that, he'll be like, yeah, fair enough, I know we don't like each other, but we all want to win, so we need to do this. And then, because they're all quite smart people, they'll look at the group and figure out who are the important people in the group, who would hurt the group most by eliminating. And I think the person that would do the most damage by being eliminated would be Beth. Now hear me out, because you'd think it would probably be Justin, right? Beth is the only one who really has any strong allegiance to Justin still. And Lindsay is only doing what Justin says because she likes Beth. So, Lindsay, without Beth, it would just be her and Tyler, and then Justin would be by himself, because Lindsay's over Justin now. So, how are they going to get anyone to vote Beth with them? Well, I think that's where they're going to try and win over Tyler, because Justin needs Beth, Lindsay likes Beth, but I don't think Tyler has any strong feelings towards Beth. So they're going to go up to Tyler and say, hey Tyler, vote Beth with us, because that'll leave Justin with nobody, and then maybe they could throw in like, oh, and then you'll get all of Lindsay's attention because then you won't have to share her with Beth. Maybe that's enough to get Tyler to vote off Beth with them. And of course, I think it would be pretty easy to win over Owen as well. So it would be 5 votes for Beth in the end. Episode 19 rolls around and I'm still probably content for this to be where Justin gets eliminated. I'm happy for him to try and win over Courtney still, spend the whole episode being after her. I quite enjoyed this episode in the original, so I kind of want to keep certain elements the same. I want to keep Justin and Duncan's rivalry that's in this episode. I quite like the bit where Justin betrays Harold as well. Obviously, with the whole thing, you could have Tyler doing some dumb stuff, getting injured as well. I think it'd be a really good episode. But ultimately, I think Justin ends up alienating everyone with his actions in this episode and would get himself eliminated here. We're at episode 20 now, and I think what happens here is Lindsay, like in the original, she did try and make a play to get Harold and Owen, if you remember, before she got eliminated in episode 21. There was a meeting with her, Beth, Harold and Owen, so I'm thinking we just swap Beth with Tyler and it'll pretty much be the same thing, but we do it in episode earlier. I'm also going to be booting someone in episode 20 instead of 2 people in episode 24 because I think that just felt really rushed, so I'm going to boot someone here instead. So they have that meeting in the thing, and I think because Courtney seems to win most challenges, but she doesn't win this one because Lindsay does a really good job here, I'm actually going to boot Courtney in episode 20. Alright, now it's episode 21. Without Courtney winning in the original, I now think Duncan would win because up until the trashing at the room bit, he was doing the best job until Courtney won. So I think Duncan would win now, which is probably for the best because he would almost definitely get eliminated if he wasn't immune here. So what I'm going to have happen is, Duncan is going to try and get Owen to vote off Harold because Duncan just doesn't like Harold. But I think Lindsay, Tyler will see that and get Harold to join them in voting off Owen because Owen's quite popular. So I'm going to boot off Owen here because I don't really think Owen has much to do going forward. I don't like the whole plot of him being a snake, so none of that's going to happen. He's just going to go and be eliminated like everyone else. So episode 21, Duncan gets immunity, Harold, Lindsay and Tyler vote off Owen. Episode 22 will be the final non-elimination round, and I think this episode will be good for establishing alliances. Duncan and Harold will have to form an alliance because Lindsay and Tyler are a couple. They're going to realise it was a mistake letting a couple get this far, even if they are both idiots, but they're going to be forced into an alliance. I think that'd be a really cool dynamic because they're sworn enemies, but I like that bit where they have to work together and the bit where they climb the mountain in that episode. I think that's a really good scene. I like that. I really do enjoy things in shows where they force enemies to work together. I think that can be a really interesting dynamic, and I think that would be a really interesting dynamic here. Alright, it's episode 23. Who do I think will win the Vomit Comet, which is the thing where they all get spun around and you have to stay in the longest to win? Who do I think will win? Now this logic might seem a bit strange, but the person I think that would deal best with like lots of high force momentum being thrown around would probably be Tyler, because think about how much he gets thrown around, flung in the air, beaten, injured. He always handles it like a champ. He never seems to get any long-lasting damage. He always handles it quite well. So if I'm being fully honest, I do think Tyler would probably win this challenge. What I'm thinking would happen is Lindsay and Tyler would go up to Harold and say, we're going to vote Duncan with us, because ultimately, if you vote for Lindsay, Duncan will probably just betray you in the next round anyway. And I think Harold hates Duncan enough as to where he thinks it's worth it to get rid of Duncan, because he's just so fed up of Duncan. Because I think after the abuse Harold would have suffered throughout this season from Duncan, it would be a suitable ending for it to be Harold betraying Duncan that gets Duncan eliminated. Alright, it's episode 24. We've only got 3 people because I do think booting 2 people in the 24th episode is horrific pacing. So that's why I've restructured the season a bit to have 3 people here. Now, it might be a little bit similar to the dynamic in Revenge of the Island where 2 of the people are really close in the final 3 and then the third person's an outsider. But the difference is Harold's not a powerhouse like Lightning, so it's still a pretty fair playing field. Now, who do I think will pick the raccoon? Because really, that's who's going to win. And I think it would be Harold, because the whole thing about Beth being a dork and picking the sort of similarly dorky looking glasses wearing animal, because the raccoon looked like it had glasses on. So I think Harold would probably end up picking that. And Tyler and Lindsay, I think Tyler would probably end up picking the bear so that Lindsay could have the chameleon. Because Tyler wouldn't want Lindsay to get hurt, because I think he's a good boyfriend like that. So I think Tyler probably spends the episode just getting attacked by the bear constantly and like trying to deal with the bear. Lindsay probably just loses the chameleons wandering around confused. And then I think Harold just wins it easily. See, now here's where I think it gets interesting. Lindsay and Tyler being the 2 up, I think, would they vote for each other? I think very reluctantly, yes, but I think there is always a chance I think Tyler would self-sacrifice. But even then, I don't think it would matter because I think Harold would vote off Tyler anyway. So I think no matter what, whether Tyler does a self-vote or not, I think Tyler's getting voted off here anyway. So, 3rd place, Tyler. Alright, episode 25 and 26. It's the same challenges, but just with different people. Episode 25 has to end in a draw, so antics ensue, Harold and Lindsay draw. Episode 26, questions at the aftermath, then a vote, and then 2 different endings depending on your region. And yeah, I think that would make Total Drama Action a lot better of a season, in my opinion. Let me know in the comments what you think, but I think this would drastically improve Total Drama Action. Thank you guys so much for watching, and be sure to check out a few of my other videos. I've not done that many yet, but until next time, this is your boy Vice Notch. Thanks for watching.